This is the very slippery. This is what blows up GM V8 engines. The Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, Escalade, heck, even the Camaro. And GM calls it dynamic fuel management. And today, we're getting rid of ours for good. Full DIY DFM delete. Let's get it done. Welcome to America, where the #1 most sold vehicle every single year, and number 2 and 3 usually, is a pickup truck. And which one? It is not the Ford F-Series as the stats typically show. It is in fact the GM pickup truck represented by the Silverado and Sierra badge names. However, due to the fact that the NHTSA just opened up a preliminary investigation on why these V8s and these Silverados keep blowing up without warning, it's not a good look for GM, nor either of us that bought one. And this is probably a very bad idea, but we're gonna do it anyways, because we're gonna be spending a lot of time at the front of the truck, and that's where all my tools are, so. Heave. And I, probably just like you, am sick of walking on eggshells when it comes to this truck, because every little shutter, sound, or message that pops up, I immediately think my engine's going. But that ends today, because today we're reestablishing the reliability that the small block GM V8 used to be so well known for with a full DFM delete. Because today we're partnering up with Texas Speed and HPTuners to make that all happen. But also, the last time I opened up an engine, when I put it back together, it never started again. And that engine is now a coffee table. Here we go. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous right now. But let's do the fun part first. Yes, let's go. Manifold gasket, LS7 lifter trays, gasket, delete plugs, retainer plates, balancer bolt, most importantly, stickers, LS7 lifters, cam phaser bolt, valve springs, head bolts, this thingy, push rods, and Texas Speed camshaft. Head gaskets. Couple of cheap tools off Amazon. What this is from HPTuners is a unlocked ECM and TCM that's going to replace the stock ECM and TCM that are on the truck. I think we have somewhat of a plan of attack for the first few steps at least. Step number 1, obviously unhook your battery. We're gonna remove our air box and start going at the intake manifold. If there is actually a step 1 to this, step 0 would be to take a whole lot of photos. You know, this truck only being a couple years old, it's a pain in the butt to get some of these plugs out. We unhooked the wiring harness for most of the Christmas trees on the intake beautification cover, but the issue is I think there's 3 or 4 on the back side that are impossible to get to. So we're gonna go ahead and try to clamshell this thing to where we'll lift this up, pull the actual intake out, and then we should be able to pull this forward enough to get those Christmas trees. But before we do that, last thing you want to do is be pulling this intake out and have a bunch of dirt fall into the intake ports. So, by the way guys, shameless merch plug, we finally have merch. We partnered up with Bunker Branding to make it happen. I'll link it in description below guys, but we have some new designs that I kind of sketched out and they made happen. So really excited about them, and I'm wearing one of them. Oh, it's a boy! I'm just kidding. There we go. Yeah, smells like oil. I really do enjoy doing stuff like this, and I see your comments about the supercharger. So how about this guys? So I've never had a video get 20,000 likes before. If this video exceeds 20,000 likes, I'll supercharge it. How about that, guys? You heard me. I'll show you guys these intake ports here in a little bit, as well as the backside of those valves. It is a little bit concerning that that's what they look like at 65,000 miles. Because if you remember back, we installed an oil catch can on this truck at like 10,000 miles. And it takes the crankcase ventilation system and ventilates it through that catch can, which catches all those nasty fumes and oils. Like usually gets recirculated back through the intake to get burned back to the engine. Is the catch can total bust and not worth it? I'll show you guys in a minute, but it's bad. And we also just did a preliminary measurement with our brand new Texas Speed bump stick. And actually I was just curious to see So camshaft's gotta come out of the front of the motor, and it needs enough room to clear, yeah. I was hoping on not having to take apart the front end of my truck. Looks like we're gonna have to take apart the front end of my truck. We got the electronic shutters. Hi.
I'm trying to decide if I should get them new Crocs or not. Yeah, so they can pick.
We're buying our boys Crocs. Here, say hi to the internet.
Hi, internet.
She's buying Crocs.
Yeah.
What the world has come to. Since we determined we're gonna need to pull apart the front end of the truck to get the stock camshaft out and the Texas Speed cam in, we pulled off the active grille shutter and started to remove the upper radiator support frame. Remember, it has to look worse before it gets better. I've only started.
Are you looking for the part?
Inside. It's like the files are in the computer. The lifters are in the engine. Trust me, I make YouTube videos. Everything I'm taking off, I'm putting the bolts right back where they go. Where they go, so I don't lose them. All right guys, new day, new shirt, same pants. So we did some preliminary measurements with the new bump stick. And those preliminary measurements showed me that this can't be here. In order to get the new camshaft in, we gotta get the old one out. In order to get the old one out and the new one in, we gotta have at least like this much room to get that in there. So for sure, radiator fan's gonna move out, radiator's gonna be gone, and I'm gonna do everything I can to not remove the AC, I think it's AC condenser here. We'll remove the radiator, but that means this is gonna be the very messy part of the video. We start unhooking the coolant lines and hoses, and all coolant will just, oh jeez, game. This is unbelievably ridiculous. Get out of here. Come on. Come on. There we go. This is one of those occasions where epoxy floors really come in handy. The question is, what type of floor should we do for the shop? All right, that was incredibly messy. But we should be able to pull this thing out of here now. Oh, there's a radiator. This radiator also has a few oil lines running through it. So there's an inlet here and one down here. And as soon as you remove those, it spews oil everywhere, which makes a mess. I really hope I remember how to put all this stuff back on. All right, so here is our Texas Speed camshaft. Now, I cannot explain how excited I am to be working with Texas Speed and HPTuners on this video. They were really cool and gracious enough to provide all the parts necessary to make this video happen, and HPTuners providing the various credits and helping me out with the ECM and TCM unlocks, because you do have to unlock the transmission control module as well as the engine control module to make all this sync up and work properly, because this is going to eliminate, in addition to the lifters, the dynamic fuel management system completely. It's going to be tight, but I think we can make it happen. Yeah, that should work. So we're gonna go ahead and turn our attention to this front assembly. Everything's gotta come off. Belt, fun fact, these new Silverados don't have a tensioner pulley. They have an idler pulley. So in order to get the belt on or off, it has to be stretched on or stretched off. I guess GM thought that this would make it more reliable, but after 60,000 miles, not only is my belt fraying, but my idler pulley is shot. You might have heard it in the last few videos. It sounds like a freaking supercharger, which is cool. It's not cool though if it's not a supercharger and it's a pulley. The best way I found to get the belts off was to pull them using a rag while turning the crank over with a breaker bar. I'm certain there's a better way to do it though. Next, we started just unhooking everything that was attached to the front of the motor. After the alternator was out, we unscrewed the two bolts holding the AC compressor in. One of them is a little bit goofy. It's one of those studs with a nut on it, which both have to be removed to get this thing unmounted. Bolts are on. Next up, the 6 bolts holding the water pump on. I'm doing my best to tag everything too. So you see a lot of blue tape in here. That's just so I know where to put stuff when I'm done. Look at this mess. This is completely full. Again, epoxy floors for the win. Hello, Molly. A little bit in there. Okay, more than a little bit. Well, it doesn't look like we've done a whole lot, but plugs, wires, and header bolts are all out, and that header pipe is pulled away from the head, so we have access to what we need to. We've done that on both sides. And again, like I mentioned, we're doing our absolute best to stay as organized as possible, even if some of the organization is somewhat unnecessary. So we have our plug wires, our head bolts, our spark plugs, but this is where we're gonna be putting all of our components. How the engine is set up, we have cylinder number 1, 3, 5, and 7 on the driver's side, 2, 4, 6, 8 on the passenger side. So everything we pull off and everything we do, we're gonna keep it where the respective cylinder is. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're gonna go ahead and spend some time finding top dead center on the engine before we continue pulling anything else off. Once I do find that, I'm gonna go ahead and take a marker and mark on the harmonic balancer, the timing cover, everything I can. So we're gonna try to do this ourselves the best we can. So we're gonna turn the crank, hold our finger over the spark plug hole. When we feel that compression pushing out, we'll then know we're on the compression stroke. And when that cylinder gets to its highest point, it's at top dead center. And don't take a Sharpie, mark everything we can, and keep on moving. This is the most difficult project I have ever undertaken. I want to learn how to do things like this. I want to gain that confidence that so many engine builders have. And the only way to do that is just to dive in and start doing it yourself. If you guys are enjoying this video, do me a huge favor, scroll down, hit that like button below. Again, 20,000 likes. We'll be probably back in here again doing this again and supercharging this thing. I kind of really want to, so if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, scroll down, make sure you're subscribed below. It's more likely you'll see all the updates that we have coming for the 2020 Silverado. So I forgot I had one of these. This is a borescope tool. Bought it super cheap off Amazon. It does what we need to, right? Cheese, yeah. All right, someone hold this. This would be so much better if this truck wasn't covered in that black wax. I should not be wearing my brand new bunker branding Lone Star Hawaiian merch. We're good. Fine, top dead center, which is that guy. Okay, compression. All right, that's definitely compression stroke. See it start to go back down. Okay, that's top dead center. Where'd my flashlight go? Ah, I forgot my flashlight and I can't get out of here. How am I gonna get out of here? All right, here we go. Now with the intake out, we have access to the fuel delivery line sitting above the valley cover. You have to use a special tool to unhook these and need to be careful because they still could be pressurized with fuel. All right, fuel lines are disconnected. We went ahead and taped up all the openings where the fuel moves around so no dirt, dust, or anything gets into it. It's one more thing removed that we're gonna have to figure out how to put back on when we're done with this. Also, I have heard that these are one-time use only. I don't know if that's true or not, but we may be calling up neighbor Logan for some parts. We're now gonna get the heads ready to be removed, starting with pulling off the valve covers. We unhook the electrical plugs, remove the bolts, and use a rubber hammer just to break it loose. Fuel lines are out, valve covers are off. We're ready to begin tackling our high pressure fuel pump here. We're at top dead center, lined up with our marks. So that looks good, but to pull that high pressure fuel pump off, you wanna be at top dead center on the exhaust stroke. Apparently there's cam lobes that feed the fuel pump, and if there's too much pressure on it, you can damage it. So are we ready? Yeah. What time's the game? Baseball practice. Oh, baseball practice. And then we have soccer. Word of advice, never sign your kids up for multiple sports at the same time, multiple kids, and coach multiple teams. I'm glad you keep track of it, I forget. I looked at the calendar thing today and I was like, yeah, okay, soccer game tonight, 7 o'clock.
Right above it, it says baseball.
Right above it, I missed that part. We need to go to baseball and soccer, turn the motor over till we're at top dead center on the exhaust stroke, and then pull that high pressure fuel pump out. And then we're on to the heads. This is getting very serious. My wife is not very happy with me, by the way. She came home and saw her truck. I told her I was pulling the cams and lifters out, although she doesn't know what that means. Now she does. And I know you guys want to know, we tied the soccer game 1-1. We should have won that one. Anyway, we got the motor locked in at top dead center on the exhaust stroke, carefully pulled out the high pressure fuel pump, just a few turns of the ratchet on each bolt back and forth until it was all the way out. We then removed each of the rocker arms, starting with the ones that were not pressing on the valve springs. Once those were out, we turned the motor over and then pulled the rest off. Rocker arms, push rods, all out, laid out, trying to keep track of where everything is coming from. But the issue right now we're running into is the head bolts on the driver's side. Cylinder number 1 is actually a hex bit, which I don't have a tool for that. And I've looked up a few stores near here and no one's got one this size, which I think is a 13 millimeter. We're gonna have to go run to Harbor Freight, which I love taking Harbor Freight trips, but Harbor Freight's like a 35-minute drive. So we're gonna lose about an hour off my day. So we gotta hurry, come on back, get those heads off, and we start cleaning up the inside of those intake ports. They are awful. I'll show you here in a second. We removed each of the head bolts in the reverse process that you would typically put them on, starting on the outsides, working in, and just doing a few partial turns on each of them before pulling them all the way out. Problem is, once I lift this up, all the weight of it's just gonna pull me down that way, and there's nowhere to brace. Well, maybe a shock tower. I got the goods! Get the car! Run! Oh. Why is my intake port full of oil? This is kind of scary stuff, guys. Might I remind you, this truck drove into this garage under its own power, running perfectly fine. This is one of the advantages of recording everything. So last rocker arm, there's still a lot of pressure there, so we turned the harmonic balancer, which, see that lift up? But the question was, which way do we turn it? Survey says 90 degrees to the right. Okay. All we gotta do is go back. There we go. Cylinder number 1, top dead center. Same thing on the passenger side. Removed the header bolts to pull the exhaust off the head and realized it was still gonna be in the way. So we pulled them all the way out. We also learned the hard way that there were 2 ground straps on the head on the passenger side versus the 1 on the driver's side. So we had to try to balance this thing while breaking that bolt loose. That was fun. It's got me breaking a sweat now, guys. So now we're gonna remove the part, which is the whole reason we're doing all of this, is these stinking DFM lifters. Previously AFM. Regardless of the acronym, they're the worst thing ever. The DFM lifter, a $20 part that when it goes bad, it can quickly destroy and blow up your entire engine. And we have to do all of this just to get to these guys. Ooh. Well, it might be a good thing we're taking these out right now. So that's cylinder 2 and 4. Now the major difference between this truck and the previous Silverados with the AFM system, the previous Silverados only had 4 that were AFM. It was either 4-cylinder mode or all 8. This new generation Silverado with a new updated dynamic fuel management system, DFM, has those special lifters on every single valve. That means there's now 16 possible points of failure. Whew. That's not good. My truck was not showing any symptoms of having issues with this DFM system. We've actually had the Pulsar LT installed from about 10 or 15,000 miles. So the majority of its life was not activating or deactivating cylinders. There's some pretty decent scoring on the bottom of these. Could be unrelated to the DFM system, but I'm not gonna sit around and wait to find out. Lifters are out. We still gotta take the valley cover off, the main pulley off, this timing cover off, and start pulling the cam out. Now it sounds like from the few folks I've talked to, I do in fact have to remove the oil pump to get that timing on and right. And they also said that if this thing has more than 50,000 miles, there's a very high chance that the chain tensioner just inside this cover will break when I put pressure on it. Let's have a look at these bad boys. All right, same orientation as it came off the truck. So cylinder number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now 1 and 3, we look good. This one's got a little bit of scoring. You can see a little bit of scoring there in the middle. 2 and 4, you can see the scoring on that one. This one is pretty dang ugly. And I take really good care of this truck. Oil changes at 5,000 miles, Mobil 1 full synthetic, high-grade oil filter, and premium fuel, which is unnecessary for these 5.3s, but with the tune we're about to install on this thing, we're gonna need a little better fuel. Cylinder number 5, and then cylinder number 6. Not gonna have to worry about that anymore because we got LS7 lifters going in. So what really surprised me was my intake ports on my heads. So again, this truck's got 65,000 miles, call it. We take care of it, it's daily driver. But look at those. That is so much nasty buildup. So what we're gonna do, obviously, before we put the heads back on there, is to clean these up as best as we possibly can. We're gonna let that soak. I need to go up underneath the truck and lock the flywheel. Now that's gonna work. We have a simple tool. We pull the starter out, we screw the tool in place, and that tool locks the flywheel in place so the engine cannot turn over. And then I'll go in with a 24 and a big impact, and hopefully I can get this main pulley off the truck. All right, what are those famous words? How about now? You gotta surprise the bolt. You gotta count to 3. Ready? 1, 3. Oh, damn, didn't work. Oh, gosh dang it. I really hope that was the bolt. Got it. Tool that I bought, this 3-jaw puller, unfortunately is not gonna work. It's just the way they've indented this jaw, it makes contact with the pulley before the backside. Instead of going to find a new tool, I'm actually just gonna modify this one. Pulley's gonna come off, valley cover's gonna come up. We're gonna pull the timing cover off and then go from there. Push this tab down, pull this gray plastic piece out, and that pulls it up, and then this thing pulls right out. All right, we've got a re-engineered puller. Oh yeah, there you go. Harmonic balancer, out. Kind of just use plastic wherever I can. There we go. There is our problem, DFM. This is the brains of the whole system. Each one of these have a solenoid on it, which controls oil flow, which activates or deactivates those DFM lifters. And over time, something in this very delicate system goes wrong. Metal goes through the engine and so there's our high pressure fuel pump lifter. You guys can see that scoring there. Yeah, I can feel it. Sheesh, come on. Looks like we're buying a new one.
Now it sounds like there's 2 different ways to get this cam swapped. One, you can mark where the cam is positioned, pry the chain off of the phaser, leaving the oil pump. When you put the cam back in, you didn't have to walk the chain back into the exact right position. Or number 2, you remove the oil pump. But to remove the oil pump, I learned the hard way that it might have just been easier to pull the engine.
All right, we're gonna take another round at this. We found 2 more bolts that were impossible to see until you removed that thing. There's 2 electrical plugs, one at the top, one at the bottom. The one at the bottom is nearly impossible to get to, but we got it unplugged. It's out of the way, got this bolt out. We've got our oil pan bag. It is impossible to see in here. There's so much crap. They put a plastic dust shield in front of the last bolt. Oil pan is free, but now I have to pull out the frame cross member to have enough room to drop the oil pan to pull it out. I feel like I should have just pulled the motor. Coating a galvanized bolt in a black grease tar. What does that do? Got it. And we're back again, guys. We had to take the sway bar down. The pan wouldn't clear the sway bar. Plus the oil dipstick was still in there. Hopefully this. That is so satisfying. Freaking GM son of a oil pan. This should be a cause for celebration because this should be the last piece we have to pull out to go backwards. That was a beast. Look how high up the motor's sitting now just to get that out. So it cleared the oil pump at the bottom. We were able to get down and slide it out. And we also removed all 3 motor mount bolts on both sides so we can get this thing in the air this high. We're learning, guys. This is all a learning process. This is stuff I've always wanted to know how to do. And the best way I learn is physically doing it, even if I'm very, very uncomfortable how deep I am in on this project. There's no turning back right now. Lower the truck back down. I'm not going to bed tonight until I have the cam and oil pump out of this thing and on that counter. my gosh. It was touching the condenser on the way out. We got it. Oil pump, cam is out. I'm going to bed. See you guys in the morning. Morning guys! We slept pretty good last night for the first time in a few nights because disassembly is complete. And this, which gives me a heart attack every time I look at it, is pretty much torn down to where it's time to start putting it back together. But I've said this a few different times. I am far beyond my comfort level here. Every time I look at this, I get really bad anxiety. But we are saying goodbye to the stock camshaft, which actually does not look very bad at all. We have a whole bunch of goodies from Texas Speed that are going in place. Camshaft, valve springs, LS7 lifters. We've got a whole lot of cleaning up to do. All right, so here we have one of our heads we need to get cleaned up. We have our gasket surface. This stuff works wonders. I'll link it in the description below, but the easiest way I found to use it efficiently was to actually put it on a real cheap just paintbrush and apply it around the gasket surface. This does not go very far, so I'm assuming I'm gonna need at least 3 or 4, but we covered it about 30 minutes ago. It's been sitting and kind of eating away at that gasket material, so we should be able to use just this plastic scraper and clean off the surface.
We also ended up spending a ridiculous amount of time cleaning up these heads. The intake ports, the back of the valves, even on the flip side, getting it as clean as possible without damaging anything. I don't know if this is required, but we went ahead and cleaned every single one of the lifters and mineral spirits and then blew it out. We're gonna go ahead and start soaking these. And we have our OEM, GM approved soaking location.
Ooh, that was awful. There's no other way to chalk that up. Also, if you guys are trying to tackle something like this yourself, go buy like 5 tables. I am completely out of table space, which just blows my mind. The heads, definitely not perfect, but I will say they are much better. They were completely coated before, but at least we got the intake runner, I guess that's called, cleaned up. The backside of the valve kind of cleaned up, but at least it'll be somewhat cleaner. So let's go ahead and clear off somewhat of an area because we're gonna start working on these springs here. You guys just witnessed my first ever valve spring installation. We have 2 done, 14 more to go. So we have the aftermarket Texas Speed valve springs. These are dual springs. You can see a smaller spring on the inside and the larger one on the outside. The ones coming out, the OEM ones, are just a single coil. So performance-wise, I don't know the difference, I'll be honest. If you guys know the difference, leave it in the comments below. And Texas Speed was cool enough to also send out this Bluegrass Performance valve spring installation tool, meant for LT engines, I believe. They knew I didn't have the tool to do this, so they sent that along with the kit. So here is the tool we are utilizing, Gen 5 LT LT4. It's real simple. These 2 screws screw into where the rocker arms are, and this component presses down on the springs when you're threading in this nut. Once it's down, you take a magnet, remove the retainer, pull the spring out, replace them with the Texas Speed springs and this lower retainer in addition to the top piece. I'm sorry, I don't know the terms, guys, but we're just gonna get it done. 14 more to go. We've pretty much got all of our surfaces cleaned. That was about a full day's worth of just cleaning. So from the top to the bottom of the block, the oil pan, the heads, the timing cover, you name it, we've been scrubbing RTV. Few parts still coming in we're waiting on, but before those get here, we can actually start playing with some of our new goodies from Texas Speed. We have our TSP 19 Plus DoD Delete Kit. Essentially, these plugs replace the DFM solenoids, which used to control the DFM lifters, which inevitably fail, but That's not going to matter anymore because in those places are going to be these plugs, and these retainers are going to hold those plugs in place with the stock hardware. In addition, they include this plug, which is going to replace the plug where the brains of the operation happen. And before even any of that, hello cam, goodbye cam, we have our new cam from Texas Speed. As far as all the specs on the cam, please don't ask because I don't know. The best thing to do is just tell Texas Speed what you're looking to do with your car, what the inevitable goal is, and they know their stuff. They'll tell you exactly what you need, and they did that for me here. The important part is this camshaft.
Oh, I love it when you say camshafts. Whisper it to me.
Camshaft. Texas Speed. I'm gonna get some gloves on because it's gonna get a little bit messy. Got a lot of assembly lube. We're gonna be
Camshafts.
Whew, lower back. Hello. Ugh. Ugh. Bump stick installed. Camshaft virginity gone. It's Christmas time, guys. We got a water pump, fuel pump gasket, fuel lines, OEM RTV. I also went and bought another cam phaser because mine shifted one tooth as I took it off. Some folks are saying it'll be fine. Some folks are saying go ahead and replace it. Also gonna replace the chain tensioner because we're in here. And a whole bunch of rags. We're gonna swap out our chain tensioner there.
Sweet like wine, got honey on its own. One hand on a bottle, she got one hand on a gun. She squeezed that trigger, you as good as done. I should be running from
Cam phaser go next, and then the oil pump goes over the top of that because we gotta run the chain around the bottom of the crank. We have our original cam phaser. These don't matter anymore. Yeah, technically the chain doesn't matter because we're resetting the timing anyways. So this should actually line up just fine.
like good boys don't play with bad girls. Good boys stay away from them bad girls. Them bad girls, yeah. The good ones just can't get me high. So
Bingo.
You're
on. Let's go.
Bad girl, you bad girl, but you do me so good. Friends call me a dummy, 'cause she taking all my money, but I make it rain like 24/7. If it mean a little time with you, break my heart and leave me hurt. The next one just gonna do me worse. So if they all no good, I'll just be bad with you. 'Cause my mother told me as a child, boy, don't play around with fire, 'cause you might just end up.
Oil pan, frame cross member, sway bar, all the lines, all the bolts on the other side. We're good. Oil pan's back on. We are ready to start putting the engine back together. Matt is gonna be tuning the truck. DFM is gone. The cam is a little bit different, just slightly more aggressive. So he's gonna be tuning for that, but he needs the stock file in order to make the changes for me to upload that file. But I never downloaded the stock file before unhooking everything. And the only way I can do that is to get the engine buttoned up far enough for me to hook the battery back up. 12:13 a.m. Beautiful, beautiful hour. Let's get this truck back down to where it's more manageable. We can start going back at that engine. Feels so much better putting parts on than taking them off. I tell you what, guys.
Them bad girls, the good ones just can't get me high.
We hit a little bit of a stopping point last night because we were getting ready to install the valley cover and heads back on the truck. And I just went and checked the holes for the head bolts, just out of curiosity, because I took the compressor and blew these out because sometimes they get filled up with oil. I'm really happy I checked. And I didn't have any of those cotton swabs, but now I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and soak up and clean out each of those head bolt holes. And then we can get our valley cover and heads back on the truck, get the timing cover back on, and start hooking everything back up. So we're using these cotton swabs to soak up the oil that's at the bottom of the head bolt locations, because the last thing you want to do is try to torque down the head bolts with a bunch of fluid at the bottom, because that does not compress.
Texas Speed's kit actually came with a new valley cover gasket, so we got that all cleaned off, installed, and back on the truck, torqued to spec. Yes, we're doing our best to torque these things down correctly on this one.
Here we go. Passenger side head is on, torque down the spec. Driver side head is just on, and we're beginning the torque sequence. So the first thing we're gonna do is torque everything to 59 foot-pounds starting in the center. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and kind of work outward. After 59 foot-pounds, then we go back and turn them 90 degrees, and then go back and turn them 60 degrees, except this front one, which is an Allen bolt head thing, which gets turned to 40 degrees. All right, that's 10 at 59 foot-pounds. And now we turn them all 90 degrees. And what I did to try to keep track, you see these markings got yellow and red. So basically from here to here is exactly 90 degrees. So basically what I'll do is put this down. I'll turn that bolt clockwise until the next yellow comes up and lines up perfectly in the same spot. So that's 90 degrees. And then I'll do the same thing on the next pass with the red. So I'll start here, turn it till the red, till here, and we'll be good, hopefully.
Push rods we got are from Texas Speed. I believe these are the exact same length as the ones that came out. With the L7 lifters, this should work correctly. With the LT-based engine, the L84, if I'm wrong in saying that, correct me in the comments below, but it'll be too late by then, because we're putting these in right now. Sarge came to join the fun.
That's right.
When it became fun. Putting it back together is fun. Taking it apart's painful. So heads are assembled. Rocker arms, push rods, valve springs, torque to spec, 22 foot-pounds across. We rotated the crank several times, retorqued everything to 22. We're solid. So what we're gonna do while we have the timing cover off is actually pour about a quart of oil through the pan, just in case something's in there after I cleaned it and reassembled it. It flushes it out. And yeah, we'll do that, and then we go to the high pressure fuel pump at the very back, and we're gonna start assembling this all together. Again, Sarge is here for the fun part.
That's right.
Welcome to DIY Auto Service, where we take apart the engine and pray it works when we put it back together.
Right, Maui? Huh? We're gonna put the motor back together. It's gonna go vroom vroom and not clunk clunk.
And let it flush out whatever the heck's in there. And there goes 10 bucks. And there goes 10 bucks.
It's like when I get door-to-door salesman, I just say I'm renting. Say, hey, do you have your pest control? I'm just renting the house. It's like, would you? I could care less about it. Fuel pump time. I got a new gasket for it. Where'd it go? I like when they make stuff all centered so you can't mess it up.
Oh yeah, I think the other way because those things are pushed down.
So the tap goes that way. Good detective work.
Yeah, give something every once in a while.
It was 216 inch-pounds.
Let me just torque it down till it feels good.
Yeah, I don't really believe in torque specs too much until my brake caliper fell off my truck. And I'm like, maybe they're onto something. Okay, fuel pump is in. I think we're gonna start hooking up a lot of wires, but we still gotta get that front timing cover on, which means we get to play with RTV again. We also need to crank down that pulley.
You helping? Yeah. This is home stretch, guys. Home stretch. Don't you dare lick my face. You eat doo-doo. You do. That's all you eat, doo-doo.
Cheap tool off of Amazon. And, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I'll hold this and then spin that. All right, we're good.
Yeah, let's go. Bring it up.
Put the belt on. This threads in. Look in there. Ooh. It's like I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Maybe not. Yeah. Oh, you got it. Water pump, we think, is up next. We're putting a water pump in. Did it came with all the studs?
Yeah, all 6.
Right on. Thank you, GM. And thank you, Mr. Neighbor Logan. So he helped me source all these parts last second.
What are their torque specs on this one?
I'm sure Google's gonna tell us. So there's a sheet and a link in the description below with all the torque specs that I'm using. The best thing I found to do is just do Control F and then type in what I'm looking for and then look for it on the sheet. So it's a long list. And I hope they're right because it's just on a form. And real quick, while he's looking up those torque specs, if you guys are interested about merch, in the description below, we've partnered up with Bunker Branding to manage all the merchandise. They're by far the best folks that I've ever worked with for printing merch. If you guys want to check out any t-shirts, hats, things like that, link in the description below. And remember, 20,000 likes on this video. We'll be right back here in this engine bay. We'll supercharge this thing. Any luck? Water pump, Control F, W-A-T-E-R, Command F.
Oh, Command F. Oh, okay.
You know, I like the traditional torque wrenches way more than the electric one. Because the electric one, it's so easy to blow past your mark. So I haven't told you this because I wanted to get your reaction. This truck has no tensioner. There's no tensioner pulley.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's an idler pulley.
Yeah, but how do you adjust the belt then when you get it on?
You don't. It's a stretch belt.
Oh, you're kidding.
You literally put zip ties on it and you turn the motor over to get it to slip onto the truck. I had a whole rant about this earlier. Like,
So who's the idiot at Chevy that needs to be fired?
I don't know. Someone does though, because they don't last longer with idler pulleys versus tensioner pulleys. My idler pulley's shot at 60,000 miles. Your tensioner pulley on your truck, I guarantee, is what, 150, 200,000 miles on it? Completely fine.
Likes wearing stretch pants.
The more you know. Can't say that on the internet, Dad.
This has been a learning experience.
Hey, you're telling me. And no one on the internet has done this on a video for an L84 or L87, so the 6.2 or 5.3 in the new Silverados. There's a few videos of folks doing it like from wrecked trucks. They go and have the motor on the side and pull it apart, and that seems pretty easy. But when you're starting with a working truck that drove into the garage and you're hoping that it drives out of the garage.
Comes out on its own power.
Yep. The old brains of the DFM system operate through here, and I gotta ask TSP or HPTuners, what do I do with this? Because there's no way to unhook it. Texas Speed, it's just a piece of billet aluminum. Just cover that guy up, and then
check on you.
hello, mother.
We're alive.
Hey,
It's looking like a motor.
hello, mother. Hello, father. Here in Camp Grenada.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one in decades. You ready? I'm gonna put you in there. Here we go. There we go. You're an engine now. You're gonna drive the truck from here.
He's like, I can't see.
You know what the Flintstones are? You're gonna hit that with the hammer. You ready? 1, 2, 3. You're getting so tall that I can hardly even get you in here. Put your hands, don't hit this. Okay, right there. Good job, you got all the way down. Perfect. Thank you, buddy. Got it. Situation update. Truck's about back together, except for the front end. We started messing with the radiator and I noticed that I wanted to clean off the radiator. It's just filled with bugs. So I'm actually gonna clean the radiator off before you mount it in for the final time, but I need the tune file. So we are gonna hook the battery back up. I'm gonna turn the ignition on. I'm not gonna start the truck. Hopefully not.
Send it. How about now?
Any oil, any water? Fluid?
Nope, your intake would.
Yeah, so I should be able to hook the laptop up in the AEM, use my HPTuners software VCM suite, pull the stock ECM and TCM files, send that over to Mr. Matt, and have him start doing his witchcraft on that file. And when he has that file complete, he'll send it back to me via email, and it's a simple upload it into the software, use that software to communicate through the ECM and TCM via the OBD2 port, and we can drive the truck without DOD forever. Big mahalos to my dad, Sarge, for
for coming out for the day and helping out. That was really fun. There's very few things that I enjoy more in this life than just wrenching with my dad. So really fun times. Truck is mostly back together. I gotta be really careful not to hit the brake. The last thing I want to do is try and start the truck. Bone dry. So just gonna hold the start button. Ignition comes on. Let's get our MPVI 3 out of our tuning school bag. We also have our tuning school material here because I tend to forget the steps here. MPVI 3, we're gonna plug this into the OBD2 port. So VCM editor, we go to flash, read vehicle, and then we'll go ahead and save that file and send it over to Matt. Another day, another mistake, another learning. Guys, I swear, every time I think I know what I'm doing, I end up realizing I really don't know what I'm doing. And this channel is just a series of learnings. Now, what this is from HPTuners is a unlocked ECM and TCM that's going to replace the stock ECM and TCM that are on the truck. So we have our ECM here, and then here, our TCM. Those unlocked by HPTuners will replace the ones that are sitting right here. From my understanding, it's a physical hardware unlock, which gives us the ability to make changes to the engine computer and transmission computer to tune or do a custom tune on this. Well, my thought was with going with a new ECM and TCM, I don't have to worry about any downtime with taking these out, shipping them over for them to do the physical unlock. It typically takes a few days, partially because my dumb A thought I was gonna knock this entire project out in like 2 days. It's been like 7. The issue we ran into when we tried to pull the stock file off the truck last night, we couldn't because the ECM and TCM are still currently locked. I thought I could at least read the files and then replace the ECM and TCM with the unlocked ones and then re-upload them, but that's not the case. So we actually are in a situation now where we have a tool on order which is gonna solve all of this. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and swap out the stock ECM and TCM for the new unlocked ones from HPTuners, pull those files and get those at least over to Matt so we can start working on the tune file. But we're not gonna be able to start the truck until we have that tool here to do some kind of a sync. But at least Matt will be able to start working on the base level tune to get this thing started up and running. All right, so we have our 3 plugs here off. Got a couple of plastic clips, which lets this go free. There is the ECM. Slides out. There is our TCM. We got our new ones from HPTuners. Da, 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 da. All right, unlocked ECM, TCM are in. Flash, read vehicle. All right, there's our file. Let's get this over to Matt. We've got our new tool to do our IMMO relearn on the truck, and we also have got our base tune file from Matt for the initial startup on the truck. Now, I hate to do this to you guys, but we're gonna end the video there. Stay tuned for our next video coming in a few days where we're gonna be starting this truck up for the first time with the new Texas Speed cam, the full DFM delete, and go through the tuning process to show you, and for me to learn myself, what that process is gonna be. So we'll catch you guys in a few days for our next video. Until that day comes, as always, y'all take care. Ahui ho. Aloha.